Hey guys, welcome back to Mindset Automotive. Today we're starting episode 2 of my 1984 Fiero Supercharged 3800 reswap. See, today we've already kind of started on it, but we're tearing down the motor, getting things apart, getting things ready to kind of go back onto the cradle that I already pulled out the other day on the last episode. We've already torn off the fuel lines because I got ahead of myself a little bit. So we've got the fuel lines off, got some of the bolts out of the supercharger. We're about ready to pull the supercharger off, take a look at gaskets, see how the supercharger itself looks. I think this supercharger is going to stay as a backup because we have a nice clean one that we know is done right and well in the car right now, ready to go on this motor, and it should work just fine. Supercharger is off. So now we've got the supercharger all taken off, we're going to organize all of our bolts, make sure we have everything set up in a way that we know where it goes, we know what parts it goes to, and then we will set it somewhere else so that we have a place for it so that it can't go anywhere but here. We've got the intake manifold, the supercharger off, we've got all of our bolts out, supercharger and intake manifold are down here. And we've got all of our bolts organized behind tape lines. I don't have any good way of organizing them right now. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to end up writing what's in each tape line, how much of each, how big. So if I end up losing any, I know, okay, there's this many there. Some of these may get replaced, but as well as I have extra parts sitting underneath this table, there and there, and I can replace a lot of this stuff later on down the road. But these are off now. This is ready to get the heads pulled off. First I've got to pull the alternator and the coil packs as well as the engine mounts and all this other junk so I can pull it apart. And then what we'll do is there is inside that box there's 2 heads that I've already used. I'll take the valve covers from this motor, put them on those heads because those ones are a little messed up, and then those heads will go on here because the valves on this motor need relapped, and so I'm going to end up just reusing those heads because I know they're good. So I've done a little bit of off-camera mining, and I've gotten both the heads off, and I've started to peek at some of the cylinders. Both heads are off. They look alright. The heads are alright. Except for my only problem being is that some of these cylinders have a little bit of surface rust on the inside, but a lot of it seems to just kind of wipe away. So we may be okay. Opening it up, it's cool, it fell out, some water was inside the cylinder. Not a huge deal. I'm a little worried about that one, which if we crank this motor over by hand, hopefully it's still there, unless the stuff rubbed it away, which might have been the case, but it might actually just came right out. We might be okay with, which means we might be able to just run this motor the way it is. I think we are okay to run this motor, actually. I think I will be all right running this motor without having to tear out any of the cylinders, which makes for a good deal because I was not wanting to do that to this one as well. So what that means is we're going to take everything off this motor, meaning the alternator and all that stuff, all the stuff that's kind of just that we don't know if it fully works. We're going to take everything that's on that motor, or that was on that motor that's in the back of my car, and throw it onto this motor. And then we should be able to get some of this stuff started to be put back together here within, a couple days. But what we're also working on as a side project, I haven't really pointed out just yet, is that I've started sanding some of the engine bay down a little bit, getting things cleaned up, and we're going to end up repainting this. Hopefully tomorrow I'll start doing some painting on this thing. We'll see where that takes us, but yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. Other than that, I should be getting the engine stand here soon, and I should be able to take this whole motor off this cradle and then start throwing bits and pieces off this motor, or start throwing bits and pieces from that motor off of it and put this one back on that cradle. So yeah, should be a good deal. So what we're gonna do now is start organizing some stuff up, getting things cleaned up so it's in a better place, so that when I do get the engine stand, hopefully tomorrow, I should be able to start tearing apart the trans, get the trans off, set it away somewhere, and be able to get some things moved around and actually have things organized, meaning I'll get my table over there organized and I'll get everything off, all the bolts put up over there, making sure everything's nice and clean so I can go back together onto that cradle a lot easier, like I said earlier, without having to put everything together in an unorganized mess. Alright, so we've done a little bit of cleanup. All of our bolts are labeled, everything's labeled, everything has a name. As you can see, replace a couple things. We've got some cleanup done to the toolbox. Everything all is kind of organized a little bit, everything's put away in its respective spots. Or not everything, but a good portion of it. Got everything all slid up where it needs to be. So next time we come in here, we can go through the rest of taking everything off this and getting the engine back on a new, or onto, then we can get this engine put onto the engine stand, take a look at it, spin it around, check out a couple things, and then eventually put it onto that cradle, and then take that motor off that cradle and stuff it somewhere. Okay, so it's been a couple days since I've been able to touch this car at all. Had a whole bunch of stuff going on. Been kind of just being busy and whatnot. I haven't done much on it. Actually, I haven't done anything on it since the last thing you guys saw. But I've done some outside things other than this. So other than this motor. As you can kind of see, got my engine stand here. Got another block there that I've had. Got a couple of, this garage is a wreck, as you can see. But haven't touched anything on this, but what I have done is I've picked up some parts for it since we were waiting on some things that we needed to get. What I've gotten right now is I've got both the head gaskets ready to go in when I clean off these heads, or clean off the block, and also the heads, actually those heads. After I clean off those, I've got the intake manifold gaskets. I'm waiting to get a supercharger gasket, as well as we also have our new head bolts that we're going to use for now on this motor. But I've got some other kind of neat things that I've got in the works. The other day I went out and I saw a guy that had some parts for a Fiero for sale. As you can kind of see probably, I don't know if you guys can see or not. There's two doors back there. But what we also got is a big ass GT wing that we're going to end up throwing on this car, right? We also got something else kind of neat. When I was out there talking to this guy, he said, hey, you know what? You're picking up all these parts or whatever, you're doing all this stuff. I've got another Fiero for sale that I've got sitting around. I'm never gonna work on it. I'm never gonna do anything with it. He told me a price and it was close to home. So let's go take a look at this guy. So what we've got here is my new 1984 Pontiac Fiero in red. Pretty low miles, 139K I believe. Can't really see it too well in the dark, but there it is. Nice looking car. Interior's in decent shape. It's got a couple problems. Not a big deal. Oh, now that you've seen the other car, you're probably wondering what the plan is for it. Am I gonna supercharge the 800 swap it? Am I gonna keep it stock? I don't really know. You're asking the same question I'm asking. I'm not fully sure yet on that guy. There is some rough spots that I caught that are, they're not great. They're about as bad as what mine was when I got it. I think for the time being though, what we're gonna do is, it's got a bad head. The guy had the guy had a good head to go with it. I just ordered a head gasket, new head bolts for it. Those should come in sometime this week. And hopefully we'll get some stuff pushed out for that car as well. Took the time today to give it a quick wash, get it cleaned up, make it look a little bit nicer. I think what we're gonna do is keep it mostly stock for the time being. at least until either one, this car gives out, snaps in half, something, I don't know, or this one will be more of a, you know, a clean cut, decent 3800 swap. I'm thinking though, maybe not a 3800 swap. There's a couple of Honda motors online that I've seen that are fairly cheap. There's only one other guy I've seen do a B series swap on one of these guys. I think it'd be pretty neat to do my own little rendition of it. But again, that's for a later date. For now, what we're gonna do is we are going to document fixing up that guy a little bit here and there, throwing some parts at it, getting it running again, and hopefully driving it around. All it is, it's an 84, it's an automatic, unfortunately, but it's an 84 automatic 4-cylinder. So, piss slow, it's what this car had in it originally. It's basically an identical car to this car, except for obviously that one has a 4-cylinder now. But got a couple of little plans here and there for it. I think it's going to be a good deal. I think we're going to have fun with it. We'll see where we end up going with it, but hopefully you guys will get to see some of that. So we ended last time you guys saw in this video, I had torn off the heads, torn off the supercharger, everything like that. Saw some rust, not a big deal, everything cleaned out, looked at those a little bit more. It all seems to just be a little bit of surface rust. So what we're going to do is we're going to coat the cylinders in some oil, just a little bit, just get them nice and cleaned out, make sure no rust comes back, get it cleaned up, and then what hopefully you guys will be seeing next is how we go about cleaning off the heads, making sure everything's in correctly, and what we'll do after cleaning off the heads and the block of the motor, of course. We're gonna go through, we're gonna clean off the block of the motor, clean off the heads, then we're gonna re-gasket the heads, so put new head gaskets on it, get everything bolted back up, sorta. We're gonna leave the supercharger off for now. So like I said, we don't have a new supercharger gasket for it just yet. I got one ordered that should be here. I think it's coming in this week. So we've got one of those guys coming, and so we will get everything thrown back together on this motor, tear it apart from this transmission, throw it on the engine stand, throw it on the engine stand, and start kind of just spinning it around, looking at it. Actually, what we might do is tear off this transmission now, get it thrown up on the engine stand while we have it here, and because I mean we'll have it always, but while I have it out, and get this thing kind of up and around and being able to spin it and clean up some things. So let's get to that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we've already done it a little bit, but we're going to spray out the cylinder heads with some PB Blaster, rotate it over a couple times, get some of that stuff moving around inside the cylinder walls, get everything cleaned up, and then we're going to go through and we're going to wipe out each and every individual cylinder with a rag, hopefully trying to coat the entire inside of that cylinder wall with some PB Blaster so it seals it off a little bit better. And then from there we will clean off the top of the block, hopefully remove the transmission, put it on the engine stand, and be able to kind of take a look at it and everything that's going on with it. And then after that we'll pull off the other motor, same thing, swap everything out, and yeah, it should be good. So we'll start with that. What we've already kind of done, I've already started on it a little bit. Threw a little bit of PB Blaster inside of the cylinder walls, trying to clean up some of that rust, turn the motor over a couple times, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these shop rags, one of these shop towels that I've got here. We're going to continue turning this motor over, waiting for the piston heads to sit all the way down, wiping out the inside of the cylinder wall, hopefully coating the whole cylinder wall in PB Blaster so that it seals it off a little bit better, and we don't get this rust to return. Looks about like it's all the way at the bottom. We're taking our rag, wiping it all the way around, cleaning up all the PB Blaster. Cylinder wall looks good. Now, move on to the second one. Looks like it's all the way down. Same thing. Okay, same idea. That cylinder wall still doesn't look perfect, but from touch and feel, there's no imperfections in the cylinder other than there is a little bit of residual rust that's kind of just sitting there. So nothing that's got me too worried. Nothing that says, hey, don't run this motor and, you know, whatever. So we're going to continue on to the next one. Now it looks like this one's going to be our next one. Get cleaned out. And then last one's going to be the middle one. All right, so cylinder walls are still a little gnarly. They're not great. But there's no big surface rust that screams, oh my gosh, don't run this motor. Okay, so now that we've got all those cylinder heads cleaned out, or all the cylinders cleaned out, what we're going to do now is we're going to set up our engine hoist, move our engine cradle out of the way a little bit, set up the engine hoist, get some head bolts, my old head bolts, into the motor, put some tension on it, and then what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect the transmission and everything there, lift up on it, and set it on this guy, onto the engine stand. From there, we will be able to spin it around, take a look at everything, make sure everything looks right, and we'll clean off the top of the block, get rid of all the old gasket stuff, and then also be able to re-gasket and put the new heads on it. Okay, so turns out I'm kind of dumb. No, that's fine. We kind of already knew that. But I was right. There is these 3, 4, 5 bolts up top. Well, one nut, 4 bolts. But then underneath, you actually have to disconnect 3 of the flywheel to, was it a torque converter bolts, I believe. You have to disconnect 3 of those, take off the starter, things like that. Starter wasn't actually obviously connected to the transmission, but just getting it out of the way is a good plus. That's how you actually get to those 3 flywheel bolts. So now that's all disconnected, we're going to come in here with a pry bar of sorts. Actually, the OEM pry bar for the Fiero. We're going to sit here, or not sit here really, but we're just going to knock this guy in. Try not to break anything while doing so, and pry apart this motor and trans so that we can get to just the motor to set it up where we need it. See, that's a good spot right there. Okay, so now we've got the motor and transmission disconnected. What we're going to do is we're going to remove these flywheel bolts. Actually, I think this is a flex plate technically when it's an automatic. We're going to remove this thing, whatever it's called, off of this motor before we throw it on the engine stand, because the other motor on the other cradle, we have a 98 Firebird flywheel that is milled down to, I think it's 0.83, so that I can run a manual to this motor with no issues. So let's do that. So now we've got the engine off the transmission. It is now loose from the cradle. It is on the engine stand. Now we're going to take out the bolts that were on the heads, or on the top of the block. That would be for the heads. We're going to take these guys out. We're going to clean off the top of this. And yeah, show you how we do that. Okay, so generally speaking, if you're wanting to make this a super nice, clean slate, going to absolutely 100% seal, no issues, and it's not a just for now kind of motor, then you would want to do exactly what I'm doing, kind of, except for what I generally do is I use some sort of sharpening stone to smooth off the top, clean it off, get it all, you know, nice and perfectly clean. But what I'm going to do for now is you just take a razor, you make sure you hold it at an angle. If you've ever cleaned windows before or scraping stuff off a window with a metal razor, it's the same idea as that. You come through, you hold it at an angle so you don't scratch the window, except for in this case it's a block. You come through and you just scrape off all this extra gunk. You don't want any of this stuff there. It's all just causing more issues down the road. You can come through, clean it all off, make it look nice and clean, or at least clean enough. Get off all that extra gasket, all that extra crap, Some falls in the cylinders, not a big deal. Go through with a rag and a vacuum or something and suck up all that extra crap. And yeah, that's about it. So cue the fast mode stuff. So now that this side is completely and totally clean, or at least to the best of our abilities, I have no reason to suspect that this thing will leak from the head gasket at all. Should be fairly clean. Everything feels fairly smooth. It's all just enough. I don't need this thing to be insanely perfect. It's got to work for now. It's got to hold up for a couple months while I work on another setup that I plan on doing. And then after that, while I'm building the other one, you'll see me go a lot more in depth on a lot of this stuff, where I have a little bit more time to kind of spare and not be as not in depth. So now, since we're done with this side, we're going to switch to the other side, and you'll see what we do, and it's the exact same thing. Alright, so now these are fully clean on both sides. Tops of them are clean. Everything here looks good. All of our coolant galleyways, I've kind of just shoved a finger in, kind of made them look decent enough. Know that they're not fully clogged or anything like that. And yeah, so that's where we stand on this right now. So now it's time to get the heads out that's going on top of this motor, and we're going to clean those off, make sure those are nice and clean, and then we will kind of button this piece back up. Okay, so now we've got the head gaskets on, as you can see, and the head on this side, head gaskets on that side, no head. So what we're going to do now is we're going to torque these down to 35 foot-pounds and then give them an extra, I believe it's 90 degrees. I'll check before I fully finish torquing them down. So set this 35. Get this all the way to 35. That's 35. Okay, so we've gotten this whole head torqued down. It is 35 foot-pounds and an extra 130 degrees afterwards. As you can see, everything is squishing out of each one of these. They've all been torqued to spec. Now all we got to do is we got to re-put back on our rocker arms and lifter rods. So let's do that now. And then from there, we'll end this video here because it's an identical thing on the opposite side. Just got to throw it in together. Okay, so here we are. We've got each one of these little holes here get a push rod. Okay, what we're gonna do, I'll throw you guys up here. Okay, this one gets a push rod. 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 Make sure they go all the way in and down, right? You don't want them catching anything. Nothing in the way, right? Just make sure they all go straight into their correct hole. Okay. Now that those are all in, we take our rocker arms. We set these guys right back on top here. As you can see, we've got it loaded. We're going to change what mode it is on. Set this to 11 foot-pounds. Let us. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I ran out of storage there, but This is now at 11 foot-pounds, okay? Now we're gonna move on to this one. Do the same thing, tighten it down. £11 foot-pounds there. We're gonna do the same thing all throughout all of these, and once we're done, we'll add that additional 90 degrees. Okay, all these are torqued down to 11 foot-pounds. Now we're going to change the mode on this. $90 degrees. Okay, we'll start on the same bolt we started on originally. 20, 30, 40, 60, 70, 80, 90. Okay, and we'll do that to every single one of these again. Okay, so now all that's done. We've got the head torqued down, we've got the rocker arms torqued down, everything's torqued down correctly. So we're gonna end the episode for today. We will come back next time with the other head put on, and we'll start doing regasketing of the oil pan. Obviously we have to throw on the intake manifold and the supercharger yet, so we'll do that next time as well. And hopefully next episode you'll see us start pulling things off of the cradle itself and swapping some of the manual parts onto this motor. But yeah, enjoy your day.